This is English shorthand dictation number 275 and the dictation speed is 160 words per minute. Ready? Start. Honorable Chairperson Sir, I thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Sir, the whole nation is worried about the rising prices of essential commodities including food items and other things. We want to know what the reason is for all these things and how we can address this burning issue of the country. Sir, the government is trying to hide in a safe zone by saying that it is an after effect of the COVID-19 pandemic and also an impact of the Russia-Ukraine war. They even say that it is a global phenomenon. To a certain extent, the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war must have put an impact on this. We are not denying this fact. But at the same time, if we make a meticulous study, we will be able to understand that the Indian economy was clearly showing a downward trend much before the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russia-Ukraine war. What was the management of financial fundamentals of this government? Sir, there are certain yardsticks to measure it. They are gross domestic product, unemployment rate, inflation rate, fiscal deficit of the government, Indian currency's relative value against US dollar, balance of payment, level of poverty, inequality, etc. If we analyze all these things of this government in the past, we will understand that the performance of this government was a poor show. They have to admit this thing. Of course, there was wide publicity and false claims regarding this. Sir, what exactly is the position now? Kitchens are in turmoil because of the pressure of inflation. We had lockdown in the country during the COVID-19 pandemic. We may have lockdown in our kitchens also because of this negative strategy of this government. Similarly, there is an erosion of people's purchasing power. It is diminishing like anything. It goes without saying that the family budget is collapsing. Moreover, the devaluation of the Indian rupee against the dollar is the most worrisome issue. We can understand this very well. Sir, a paradoxical situation is also coming up where over-dependence on import and diminishing trend in export can be seen. That is also a worrisome issue. We can very well understand that it will lead to imported inflation, which would also be a burden on the people. Sir, the GST Council's decision to impose tariff on the items of mass consumption is also terrible. My learned friends were explaining all these things. It goes without saying that nobody can have any kind of adjustment in this. India's debit obligation is also very high. It will also have a very big impact on our economy. This is making a negative marketing sentiment against India. So if we analyze all these things, it is amounting to a bad position as far as India is concerned. Sir, I wish to ask a question from the government whether it is taking up any measures to arrest these kinds of bad synergies. I feel the government is not at all interested in that. What is the priority of the government? The government's priority does not seem to be of economic reforms. It is engaged only in political kind of considerations. One of my learned friends from the other side was saying that under the leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister, this government has done wonders. What is the position of India now? Where does India stand today? They are all saying that they have done wonderful things. I would like to quote the report of the United Nations Development Programme. The Human Development Index 2020 was published by the United Nations Development Programme. As per the report, India stands at 131st rank out of 189 countries in the world. Now, I want to ask them, where does India stand? They are all making false claims. Similarly, in terms of World Press Rankings, India slipped to 142nd rank last year out of 180 countries in the world. There also you can see that India's position is much lower. In the Global Hunger Index also, India's ranking is at 101st position, which is much below even the African countries. If this is the position of India in international indices, then what is the meaning of their claims? Sir, in order to have progress in a country, a congenial atmosphere and peaceful coexistence are the essential ingredients. Unfortunately, you have spoiled that. There are many things to say. The government is purposefully opening the floodgates of trouble. That is why I am saying that unless you ensure peace and do justice to everybody, we will not be able to attain economic growth in the country. Sir, I thank you for permitting me to take up the discussion on price rise, which is really hitting the common man. It is a double whammy for the poor and the middle class people. First, they suffered due to the pandemic, and now they are suffering because of rise in prices of essential commodities. A running inflation and hike in fuel prices are adding fuel to the fire. I hope that this debate will provide some solution in the form of suggestions. I am confident that the Honorable Finance Minister and the Minister of Consumer Affairs would take those suggestions in good spirit and act on them to control the prices of essential commodities. Sir, I tried to analyze the main reasons behind the rise in prices of essential commodities and found that the increase in the prices of petrol and diesel is the main reason, followed by the Russia-Ukraine war. It is not just the common man, but even small businesses like restaurants, food giants, hotels, and others are suffering. There is substantial increase in prices of fuel, vegetables, fruits, edible oil, LPG, etc. I feel the only solution is to bring petrol and diesel under the purview of GST. This is my first suggestion to the Honorable Finance Minister. Sir, the rate of inflation is above 7%, which is much more than the Reserve Bank of India's threshold limit of 6%. For many months now, the consumer price index has been hovering around 8.5% and the wholesale price index registered 16% in the month of May. Inflation is nothing but taxation without legislation. I agree with the Honorable Finance Minister that price rise is a global phenomenon and India cannot be insulated from this. I also agree to some extent when the Finance Minister says that the Russia-Ukraine conflict also disrupted supply chains and resulted in increase of prices. But at the same time, inflation is primarily caused by two reasons. One is demand pull inflation and the other one is cost push inflation. The former can be controlled by reducing money supply or increasing prices through taxation. But when it comes to the latter, the measures needed are to increase the supply to meet the demand, which is not happening. With floods in almost every part of the country, the situation is going to worsen in the coming days. I would like to know from the Honorable Finance Minister the details of fiscal and monetary measures taken by her and by the Reserve Bank of India to control inflation. This is my second point. My next point is on containing retail prices. As per the existing system, retail prices are fixed by market forces and people think that the government has a limited role to check spike in an unacceptable price rise. This is not the entire truth. Look at the Legal Metrology Packaged Commodities Rules 2011. In these rules, there is a provision to fix the retail price of essential commodities if the prices go up, and now the retail prices have shot up abnormally. It is not applicable to just packaged commodities but also applicable to loose items sold in retail market. So, I suggest the Honorable Finance Minister and also the Minister for Consumer Affairs to take proactive steps and fix the retail price of essential commodities for a certain period of time in the interest of the consumers. Sir, the vulnerable sections of the society are suffering due to high prices of commodities. To control high prices, we have one more mechanism, and that is market intervention scheme. The objective of this scheme is to intervene and stabilize the prices in the market and ensure that shortages do not adversely impact the consumers. So, the House would like to know about the interventions which the Government of India has made through the market intervention scheme to stabilize the prices and whether such initiatives give good results or not. The next point that I wish to make is relating to GST imposed on curd, buttermilk, rice, etc. from 18th of this month. You know that GST collections are breaking records and giving huge revenue. By imposing 5% GST on these items, how much extra could you possibly earn? Secondly, look at the message that you are giving to the poor by imposing GST on these items to garner a few crores of rupees. So, I appeal to the Honorable Finance Minister and to the government to remove the GST on the above items, which will give a sigh of relief to the common man.